Coming this fall, the story of a grape who refuses to be crushed. One grape to rule them all, and one bottle to bind.
Whoa, honey, what are you doing?
I was recording an intro.
Okay, that's great, but we got a podcast to do.
Okay.
All right, well, this is We Know Texas Vino.
Will, buddy, what a great trip up here. Man, Eric and I driving here today. Here was our conversation. You ready, sir?
Yes.
Our conversation was one of the great benefits of doing this podcast in the great state of Texas is we get to drive all over the state. And how cool is it we get to drive here to Greenville? I think we're in Greenville right now. We're going to clarify that with this great couple.
Yeah, I think we're in the Greenville area.
The Greenville area.
The
but we
greater
get to drive
area
here today and just go somewhere where maybe we wouldn't have done on a Sunday. And we're here and it's just tremendous. So that's number one. Number two, what do we talk about? The people we get to meet. And already just bantering pregame with this couple, we can already tell that we, and for our listeners, I mean, most people know I have a good sense of humor. And I'm kind of like, I always compare myself.
You have humor?
A little humor, but I compare myself not to but like I want to be Steve Martin. And I have a new friend here who is obviously going to be keeping up in that regard, right?
Yep.
So,
But you know what? We have not done something that we can't break tradition.
Okay.
We haven't did our
real quick cheers with our friends.
Our quirk. We almost broke
cheers.
tradition.
Our poor listeners can't see us, but cheers. Oh, you right hear us. That's good. Well, we're on episode 38, and we're so proud of 2023. We were just talking about some of the cool accomplishments we've made, and we're episode 38 here, and we're at a great winery right now called Live Happy Lane Winery. Now, can you pick a better name for a winery if you want to be happy?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, you know, honestly, when I actually was looking this up and came across it, and I was like, well, that's a very interesting name. And I think something like in this area is like Happy Lanes or something like that. Is that correct?
Live Happy Lane. We named it.
So it was that chicken or the egg? Which one was here first? But you named the lane.
I named the lane.
There you go.
A feisty one in my right here, so that's good. All right, very good.
And you know what?
Yes.
She's already talking.
Love it. The scouting report on her was she's going to be shy and bashful. That is not the case whatsoever here. So I may be missing a foot when I finish this podcast, but we'll see what happens there. Well, real quick, let's review kind of some of our basics. Where can people reach us, Will?
So you can find us on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino. You can also go out to weknowtexasvino.wine and find us on there. And then, of course, any podcasting platform, you can find us out there. And here pretty soon, unfortunately, Google Podcast is going away.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll find us on like Amazon or Pandora or Spotify.
Right. So basically, you can find us anywhere on social networking platforms, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Good. Well, we are here today for our 30th episode, which is just 38th, which is spectacular. Did you not hear that? 38th?
Oh, I thought I heard 30th.
No, 38th. And we're going to have a great time. And we have a gentleman coming over here real quick for wine refills. I love it. This is Michael here. Hi, Michael. The owners are getting refills of wine. Strange, they're like wine. But we're going to have a great time today. So we're here real quick with Ernie and Michelle Mays, and we're at your beautiful winery called Live Happy Lane Winery. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, welcome.
Wow, what an exciting time. And we've already had some fun, Ernie, you and I. It's been really a good time. And just real quick, Michelle, probably adoption papers will be in the mail. I think I need to adopt him and bring him home. Raise him as my own.
I'm just going to say this. We've had like 37 episodes, and I think he's adopted everybody from every episode.
That's not true. There were 6 or 7 I did not, but I have a big, happy family. It's a lot of fun. But real quick, right out of the gate, you have a beautiful facility. I mean, you've done a great job building this. How old is this structure we're looking at right now? I mean, is this pretty new?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about it, Michelle.
The big building was here.
Okay.
And we opened in April. Then we had the heat wave, and it was too dangerous for us and to have patrons out. We needed to keep the public safe. So we closed down, and my nephew, Graham Henry, shout out to him. He and I designed this, and he built it.
It's fantastic. I was telling Will when I walked in here, I've been all throughout California wineries. It reminded me a little bit of the California feel. Is that intentional? Was that kind of the part of it? Oh, very. Okay, yeah. Very California. Will, I don't know if you've been over there or not, but this is a very California kind of outdoorsy feel. It's kind of fun. So cool. And then Ernie, thanks for inviting us here, bud. You've been nothing but hospitable. There's a big 4-syllable word for you. And right now we're drinking some wine. I want to talk about the wines we're drinking.
Yes.
Will, what'd you get? What did you end up getting?
I went blank on it.
Mesmerized.
Mesmerized. Yes, I knew it started with an M, and I didn't want to say incorrect. So yes, I got mesmerized.
What's mesmerized?
Mesmerized is a Tuscan blend. It's a field blend, and I'm actually not the expert on wine. I just drink it. My wife, Michelle, right here, is the expert.
So it just went from 70-30 to 90-10, Michelle, in terms of our bets, in terms of how much you would monopolize this conversation.
By the way, I got 50 on this, so I need to talk.
Mesmerized is a beautiful field blend of Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, and Sangiovese.
That sounds amazing.
And she's been in bottle now for 18 months and is developing very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know you're enjoying that. And then my wife met a young gentleman named Michael, and I'm a little worried about my wife because Michael's a very handsome young man. But she is getting a wine and drinking a called Stud.
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
I was at the annual Twigga meeting and had this inspiration for the name of this wine because it is a super Tuscan and
I thought I was
Italian
the inspiration.
Sorry, honey. The wine was the inspiration.
And that's all recorded.
And I was sitting there at the banquet table and I was just like, it's big, it's bold, it's robust, and yet it's smooth. And I said, we're going to call it Stud.
I like that.
I like that. I do like that.
Are you a creative person? Is that just how your mind works a little bit? Yeah, very creative. That's cool. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm drinking your Malbec. Tell me about that real
Oh.
quick. Yeah.
Yes, Malbec is my daughter-in-law's favorite wine. She used to come down here about every 3 days. She's pregnant now with grandbaby, so she can't do that.
Congratulations.
But
make sure I have a case for her when she gets up.
Oh, she will need it. But Malbec has just gotten some great complexity that goes on with it, with its fruit notes, but yet it's also got some tobacco and a little bit of cocoa going on, and it's just beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is
I'm
a beautiful wine.
This is my second glass, and it's 4:00 in the morning. It's
Somewhere.
30 or
Hey, it's 5 o'clock
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Sure. Well, awesome. Well, we're going to jump into the nuts and bolts of this real quick and have a lot of fun.
What about what they're drinking?
Oh, that's right. They have wine poured.
Yeah, they have glass over
Well,
here
let's
too.
start with Ernie. Ernie, what are you drinking, or do you know?
I'm actually drinking Stud. That's
You are
my
Stud.
my go-to.
Oh, so you're trying to influence her more this way?
I am.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
he is a stud. And Michelle, how
It's
about
an
you?
easy drinking wine. It's got a very velvet finish, and it's just a really easy drinking wine. It's got just a little hint of sweetness, mid palate.
Nice.
I'm drinking Swag.
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 I love it.
Swag is a white wine blend, semi-sweet. It's got a lot of character, a little finesse,
Swag.
and it's got a really smooth finish.
That's a great name for that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
swag.
great name.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, of the wines we've described so far, have all of them received awards? Talk to us about
Yes.
your recognition and your celebrations.
They all have. Swag's won gold, Stud's won silver, I think. Malbec's won silver. What were you drinking?
I was drinking Mesmerized.
Mesmerized won silver too.
Nice.
We went. I entered everything that had a label last year in the Lone Star International Texas Wine Competition, and we entered the Texas side, obviously, because we're 100% Texas wines.
Nice.
That's huge.
Yes, we wanted to keep it that way. We're proud of our state and proud of what's being grown here and the winemakers that have moved here to help us grow this industry. They all did really well. You can't win if you don't enter.
That's right.
true.
Never
So
know until you try.
I entered,
Yep.
not even knowing. And the two wines that didn't place was on me because I didn't understand that they needed more time.
Maybe that's where Ernie fills in. Ernie, what are your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
I was actually probably saying we've got too much on our plate right now to be doing this, and she pushed through and she drove to the mid cities to drop the wine off, and about halfway back home she realized she had forgot to drop the case of
I got
wine
the
that was in
Rockwall.
the
I turned
floorboard. Yeah, she turned back
Wow.
around, dropped it off. But one of those that she did drop off was our Mourvedre, and it went double gold.
Oh,
Nice.
Best in
And
Texas.
I just
Seriously?
Really?
Best
yeah,
Mourvedre in Texas.
and you still have some?
Yes, sir.
yes.
Oh, we're definitely about to have some
I'll
now.
be
Yeah,
drinking
so-
some of that. Oh,
And it has a really nice ABV of
Yep.
15.4%.
holy
Notice how she whispered that one a little bit.
That's impressive. And for our listeners, that's impressive.
So-
That's serious stuff.
And for our listeners that don't know what ABV stands for, that's alcohol by volume.
And most of them, in my opinion, are of around 12.5 to 13,
Yep.
probably. The average or whatever, so 15.4.
Yep. And usually your bourbon barrels run a little bit higher.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ours
well,
runs 16.9.
I heard that that rumor somewhere. I don't know where I heard that from.
You'll have to try it. I opened a bottle
They
for a
also
couple
own a
while
taxi
ago.
service, right?
We're only doing free samples right now because it doesn't have a label, so we can't sell
I
it.
got you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need a free sample of 750 milliliter.
Well, Will, you're out of control already. Well, we're here in, is it Greenville? Are we in Greenville, Texas, for our listeners?
You're not in the city of Greenville.
Okay.
City of Greenville is right across the street.
Okay.
We're county line is right at our road. So we're Hunt County,
Hunt County.
but we are in Greenville.
Okay. Greenville, Texas.
So in other words, means if you commit a crime, run across the street and you can get out of the trouble, huh?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, we have a Greenville address, but we're considered an ETJ, extraterritorial
Okay.
jurisdiction.
Oh, interesting.
So
I
they
think-
can still make rules on us, but they can't.
Gotcha. The greater Greenville area.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Okay,
a,
gotcha,
Yeah,
yeah.
greater Greenville area.
Awesome.
So-
Cool. Well, let's get into this, Will. I'm so excited to meet this couple
Yeah.
and get to know them a little bit better. And we're going to spend the next 4 or 5 hours, just joking, next few minutes just talking about.
I'm going to need
she's
more wine.
Can
Michael,
we just get a camel pack
Yes.
for you and just
So, well, tell us about how this originated, you guys, and maybe Ernie, you want to comment on that. Well, first of all, how did you two meet? And I
Yes.
understand you have a bushel of children running around, so
We
that's kind
do.
of cool. And I just
We
heard
do.
about
That's a good word.
a grandkid coming our way, maybe first, eighth,
Be
I don't
third.
know. Third. Okay. So, how did
Yeah.
both of you take turns? But how did you guys meet, and then how did that harmony lead to wine?
Well, I was working with ExxonMobil up in Pennsylvania and the Marcellus Shale and got involved. I had gone through a divorce and went and got on Facebook, joined some friends from high school and got into a business called Nerium. And there was a conference going to happen down here at the Gaylord. And then I had my youngest uncle wasn't doing good health wise, and he had cancer, was going to be close to not being here anymore. And then my youngest sister was getting remarried, all in the same week. And so, long story short, I came back down, went to the wedding, was going to visit with my youngest uncle. He was like my brother growing up, and because I knew he didn't have long. And then I went to the conference, and a mutual friend just introduced us, and we danced, but we were just friends. I didn't want anything to do with women. I don't want to ever go through that pain ever again and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So long story short is we were just friends. Didn't even ask for a number after that first night. Just, hey, great meeting you. See you later. And best of luck to you.
You must have been a good dancer.
Not bad. A lot like, have you ever
well,
seen
the
Steve
laughter on her
Martin?
face is a whole different story, though.
Have
We
you ever
had a
seen,
good time.
have you ever seen Hitch?
Yeah,
Yes.
seen it.
Yes.
Don't
Hitch.
ever do that again.
Keep it right here.
Keep it right here.
So you didn't do the running man or anything like that?
He
Or you did
didn't
the
do-
running man running out the door?
He didn't do the toothpick.
Okay.
Not the toothpick, the ear thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Q-tip.
I actually
Q-tip.
have my own move called Your Nesto, which
We're going to have to get a video of this.
Yeah.
So we can put it online so we can
do
validate it.
Steve Martin reference. Yeah,
It made me laugh.
And then I always argue with you guys, there's always 3 sides to every story. So what is the real side, Michelle? How did you guys?
That is the real side.
is?
I also was going through a divorce at the time and started, had to get the big girl pants up and
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm going to go to this conference and start my life. I was a mom of 5, had been at home my whole life. So it was a whole new adventure for me. And I had met Ernie the night before, and the next night was the whiteout party. And I was already in bed at 8:30. I was depressed. I wasn't going to go. Friends called to get down here. So I was like, all right, give me an hour. So I looked myself in the mirror before I walked down. I said, I can do this. And I went downstairs with just this attitude of, I want to meet everybody I can. Well, I saw Ernie. I was in line to get a beverage, and I saw him walk by. He had 4 gorgeous women on his arm. And I'm like, I don't care. And I got out of line, went and tapped him on the shoulder. I said, I met you last night because I couldn't find anybody I knew. And
Right.
he's like, are you alone? I said, yes, I am. He goes, well, you're not anymore.
He dropped those girls.
Dang,
and
man. What's
grabbed your hand, huh?
up?
came out before I could stop it.
Wow.
Man.
And he came back.
Getting bad.
He called me when Frank passed. Frank passed 10 days later.
Yeah.
And I talked to him till the sun came up. And I said, who's picking you up from the airport? He goes, well, probably my mom. If she doesn't need to be doing that, I'll pick you up. And
Wow.
he brought me a friendship card. He gave me when we went to lunch after I picked him up at Love Field. And it had a hope rock in it. A little bitty smooth stone that had the word hope on it. And I had lost hope
That's
that I
beautiful.
would ever live a life, with what I was going through at the time was devastating, and it gave me hope. First sermon I went to church the next Sunday was on hope. I thought, well, maybe there's something to this guy. So When we went to the conference, I had ladies saying, come out, guys will take us out. I said, no, you know what? I know what Ernie's going through because my former father-in-law died at 51 of cancer.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'm going to check on Ernie. So I called him and said, hey, buddy, how did it go with Frank today? And he's like, he doesn't have long. And I said, well, let me pick you up. Let's go get a beer. So we closed down the Flying Saucer, and he gave me a hug when I took him back to his mom's house. He didn't try to pick me up, and that meant something to me because I felt safe.
Trust.
And then after picking him up, I said, we've been together ever since.
That's wonderful.
Nice.
That's a cool story.
So
That's like
I want to say this
goosebumps.
for all the young gentlemen out there: take notes.
Right.
Because that's what, unfortunately, our world, when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's lost all values.
We know Texas romance.
Well,
Yes.
actually, that's a new dating site. We know Texas Vino dating site.
Right. Well, it is kudos to you. Two people are way too aggressive, but each of you gave each other what you needed at that time. You're both going through traumatic times, especially with the loss of your uncle and then, of course, divorces and that sort of thing. And so good for you guys for life is about connections, right? It's all about finding that fine line. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have one question about hope. Is there still hope for his dance moves?
No.
No.
They are what they are. And I embrace those. We all embrace those.
I have $20 saying to get you some dance lessons.
Alcohol helping
Liquid courage.
helping white people dance.
Absolutely.
For decades,
Social
for
lubricant,
eons.
right? Yeah.
I can't say that the dance moves put me at ease.
Okay. Because you knew that if he could do that in front of public, in front of other human beings, that he could do anything.
If he's got that much belief in himself, he's okay.
Confidence.
I got you.
It was all about having a good time, which I hadn't had in a long time.
Good for you. I can tell.
And that's kind of how we live.
Yeah.
We're best friends.
That's very good.
There's nothing.
Awesome.
He's gonna make me laugh no matter what he does.
Right on.
Awesome.
Well, he has good sense of humor, and you guys are well-rounded, and you guys are good people.
I saw that. I just turned away from that.
So yeah, she gets embarrassed really easy.
Very.
Oh, she does.
No way.
Yeah.
Because, I remember when we were talking about this, she was like, I don't want to do this. She's already monopolized the conversation already.
She's great. Yeah.
See, I told you this was going to happen, didn't I?
Well, she's a confident woman, so a woman of strength.
Oh yeah, that trip back, I took her to the lake house, and then what was funny is, I'm sitting there, and she calls my name down the hallway. My sisters had cornered her coming out of the bathroom. So, what are your intentions with our brother?
Oh.
Yeah, I had
Uh-oh.
taken my morning
They were just messing with
shower
her.
and opened the door, and they're both standing there. And these are little Czech women with a lot of attitude.
Oh yeah.
And I already had a run in with his mom, and they're like, "So, what's your intentions with our brother?" And I'm like, "Ernie."
Ernie, help. SOS.
But yeah, I got his mom a hammock. Instead of getting flowers for her brother's funeral, I got her a hammock for her lake house. And he and I were putting it together, and he leaned over and had a moment of courage and gave me a little kiss outside.
Hello.
Well, his mother saw it from the kitchen window.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So as soon as
Shotgun
I
came
walked
out.
in the door,
Trouble.
Mama is just like, "So, I saw you kiss my son." I said, he kissed me.
A sarcastic family.
And I don't get sarcasm.
Right.
I was petrified. And
That's
these people
funny.
are absolutely lovely.
Well, I think
His
a
family is
great
amazing.
strategy is just immediately blame it on the other person. I think it's a great strategy.
Yeah.
Well, let's round this out. So you guys have a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
You've done great things. So how did the wine concept come upon you guys?
We were living in McKinney, and then in our quiet time, we're people of faith, obviously. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows that by now, but we
Your
are.
website
We're
is pretty
very,
obvious.
very
Yes.
much.
I love
And if you want to read up on what the Sand Dollar, the story behind the Sand Dollar, but we're living in McKinney, and during our quiet time, I had her brother was put on my heart to reach out to him that he's going to need help with the family business, and it's air quality, air filtration, UV light, germ killing, and I ignored that, and that conviction came back stronger the next day, and I told her during quiet time, I'm to reach out to your brother. He's going to need help, and I did. Within 5 minutes, he called, and then next thing you know, I'm driving to Roy City to help the family business. We have our real estate license going full 100% into real estate, flip houses, all this stuff. And at the end of the day, we ended up relocating back to Roy City. We were close enough to this property. We actually tried to sell this property one time for twice what it would appraise for. Like, if you want this bad enough, you can buy it. And so through helping the family business, we ended up relocating to Roy City. We were close enough to come out here and start walking it. And we were like, this is a beautiful piece of property. We should do something with it. And God put it on our hearts to build a place for my people to rest, restore, relax, be inspired, and get back to having balance in life, and just shut it down. And so we're like, well, what is that? And anyways, at the end of the day, I had a week at Dust Free that was a pretty tough week. I said, hey, let's just go somewhere for the weekend. And I said, don't even try to plan it. Let's just start driving. One of those. So we started driving, heading to Dallas. And I said, you love wine? Find a winery. I'm sure there's a winery around here somewhere. This is 2018.
Okay.
And she finds Fortunata out in Aubrey, Texas.
Yep.
And so we go there, little house, 10 acres. And then the Italian villas, they had one left. I said, rent it. Let's do it. Great. So we're sitting there, we shut down that place and go to bed, and we wake up the next day and we're like, this was just awesome. I mean, just let's find another one. Let's do this again. So we find Eaton Hill up in Salina.
Yep.
And so we go there. They're having wine club pickup, and
that.
Yeah, they're building. They went to Grayson too, and so they're building how they make wine and stuff. And we look at each other, and light bulb went off. This is it. We're to build a winery, and that's how it started.
Wow,
that's where the vision started in 2018.
What an awesome story. I mean, we know both those wineries.
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
I've always argued Fortunato, their number one, asset is their facility, right? Their property, and so I can see where that's inspiring.
Yep.
And then of course Eaton Hill. My goodness.
Oh yeah, Chris is an amazing winemaker.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
Yeah, he's actually inspired me to try to start doing like old world wines in the clay pots.
Yeah, we've learned about that. That's really, really cool.
They were so gracious. We crashed their wine club party, and he and Clark stood there and talked to us for probably 2 hours.
Wow.
About their experience. Don't build small, go big. Obviously about Grayson. So.
Well, you know what the saying is: go big or go home.
Yeah, and then so after that weekend, it was where we're going to go next weekend or in 2 weekends. And we were Los Pinos. We've been to Kiepersal. We've been down to Fredericksburg 2 or 3 times, and we just started going to wineries, and we started. I like this. That's not so much. This works. This doesn't. And started just her creative juices just started flowing and writing stuff down and making notes. And I'm looking into the business side of what it takes to do this and that. And then I come home one Wednesday I came home from work on a Thursday, and she said, well, you need to sit down and drink this. Here's a glass of wine. I'm like, okay, well, what's up? I don't get all worked up. She goes, well, we're gonna. We joined Twiga today. I'm like, fantastic. What is that? Texas Wine and Grape Growers Association. I said, fantastic. What does that mean? We're leaving tomorrow morning to go to conference.
Wow.
Okay. And so we jumped right in and just went down there and started talking to people and trying to figure stuff out. How do you do this? How do you do that? And that's how we started.
Well, one of the coolest things that I think we showcase or highlight in this podcast is we want people who listen to this podcast to say, wow, I can do what they do.
Yes.
But I also love the realism of people saying it's tough, it's hard work, and we'll talk about that here in a minute with this great couple. But how cool is it just to have a spark? Something just sparked in these two, and it's like, let's just do this. And now they have this beautiful facility.
Well, and I will say this happened to me this last weekend. I was at the Pineywood Wine Festival, and I believe, if I remember correctly, his name is Vincent for Twisted Pine. I walked over there and said 3 words. He recognized my voice, ran over to me, shook my hand, and says, we love your podcast. Your podcast is inspiration to us because we listen to all these other winemakers who go through the same thing that we're going through. And it just gives me inspiration to keep pushing forward.
Well, right. But Will, he contacted me, and actually it was America's Most Wanted. He was able to recognize what you had going on in previous life.
Vincent, if you're listening to this, he didn't mean that.
Oh my gosh. Well, so you guys are here. You're doing a great job. So what is kind of the vision? What's happened in the last couple of years? I think you said 2018 is kind of when that was all starting to manufacture. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so now it's 2024. Essentially, we're going to blink and it's going to be 2024. What has happened up to this point? What are some of the obstacles for our listeners? And then what is the vision? Maybe even next year. You built this in the last 8 seconds. So what's happening here in the next few months?
Well, what happened was after that, I started looking into how to structure the corporation correctly, the LLC. How are we gonna do that? And then looked into what it takes to make wine, what the equipment costs, and there's different facets of the in the industry. You can buy from a crush company and just sell. You can make it yourself, or you can team up with the right winemakers and stuff like that. But with us and our faith, we really and truly pray every day and just ask God to lead and guide us as to what He has for us. And because this is His property and He's given us the vision and the dream in our hearts. And so that's really what we do. So a lot of it was just trial and error and just talking to people and trying to get as much wisdom as we can. And just like we own 155 acres up in Meadow, Texas, and we have our own vineyards up there.
Wow.
And so we have 23 acres of existing vineyard when we bought it April 1st of last year. So April Fool's Day. That's when we closed on it. And
well, that's a weird day of buying stuff, you know.
Yeah,
They can pull a fast one on you.
It is. And then so this year we planted 24 more acres. And we are actually partnered with the Bingham family. Cliff Bingham.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And
that is information I did not have. That's fantastic. We really love that family.
Yes, they are amazing, and God opened that door for us to be able to do that. And
it was a fluke.
It was the favor of God.
When God's involved, it's never a fluke.
No, it's
so you were saying it's a fluke. So was it just a coincidence?
We were at
the
Hill Country Symposium. And, you know, we were trying to find wine. I don't know how many people know this, but there was a freeze 3 years in a row that killed tremendous amounts of vines in the High Plains. So finding wine for a brand new winery, you know, we didn't have grapes yet. So when you're starting out, you either, you know, you can buy shiners or you can buy bulk wine and get with a winemaker and make it your own. And so we were in that process of doing that. And so they have at the end of the conference, they have a market where if you've got bulk wine still available, you can set up your booth and tell it, well, there's folks like us that need wine. Well, we can go and talk to them. So I was talking to one lady at the time. I was like, we're going to need whites and we don't have any. And she said, you need to go talk to Marissa Bingham. And I'm like, oh my, Marissa Bingham. She is a red, very strong person. And I was a little intimidated, to be honest.
And
really, that surprises me.
Marissa knows this.
Marissa knows this. And
Marissa.
We laugh about it now because she and I are great friends and we get along very, very well. But at the beginning, she was intimidating to me because I'm a green hugger, very not red personality. And so I pulled up myself and I went over there and talked to Marissa about her Viognier that she had available. Next thing I know, here comes Ernie, and then here comes Cliff Bingham. And Cliff and Ernie start talking. They're talking about vineyards, and Cliff, next thing you know, is telling Ernie that, you know, one of the vineyards that they've been farming, the gentleman had passed, and the kids had no interest in it, and they were going to be selling it. And Ernie's like, well, you know what? We would be interested in that.
Well, actually, what I threw out there first was eventually Cliff, Michelle, and I would like to buy our own land and have our own vineyards up there. And he goes, well, it's funny you say that. I actually know a guy that is really interested in selling what he's got, and there's already 23 acres of existing vineyard on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, well, fantastic. So he gave me his name and number, and I called him within a week. And we were living in here at the time, and I walked up and down this road talking to Dan Daniels for probably 45 minutes to an hour. We never talked about anything purchasing the vineyard. We talked about life and family and kids and everything else.
That's the way to build a relationship.
I never even talked about a deal. And we just came to a conclusion that let's just get the property and the vineyard appraised, and whatever the price is for, we'll buy it.
Wow.
And therefore we don't need to negotiate anything. Whatever the price is for, we'll buy it. And that's how so now that 23 acres of vineyard this year, there was so much favor on it, produced 160 tons of fruit.
What? That's awesome, you guys.
Wow.
It was amazing. After the 3 years.
That's extraordinary.
Tons.
Actually.
I think so.
Cool.
I think so.
So I
think that's the number.
That whole process.
Well, it was just,
I believe so.
it was a divine
I'll have to clarify with Cliff.
I'm sitting here doing my math because I know an average 1 acre of vines can produce between 3 to 5 tons. And you had 24 acres that produced 160 tons.
And we have a 5 acre lot of Moscato Giallo that 3/4 was destroyed in the freeze. And so calculate that in there.
Wow. I mean, still, that's a lot of fruit.
Yes.
I may be misspeaking there, but I do believe
it was actually 6 tons?
No, that's
I'm pretty sure
what it
he's
was.
pretty spot on.
Yeah. And I know there was, I know from
And the year before, we had an amazing harvest off of our 23 acres to the point that Cliff was like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but can you add my other 200 acres to it?
Wow.
Because he knows our faith. And that was part of what connected us with the Binghams, because they're people of faith as well. Right. And when we went out there, you know, Marissa is very protective of her father.
Yes, she is.
And
she should be.
And she should be. And we really didn't know who we were getting connected to, honestly. Because we were new. We were new to this whole thing.
We realize it now.
Yeah.
We realize it now, but humbly, we went up there and met these lovely family,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, my dad's been burned some, and I was like, I'm not gonna go tell an expert how to do his job.
Yeah.
I will stay out of your dad's way.
Yep.
She was good to know. And the fact that my family's a farm and ranching family, I understand, there's things of nature that you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Not everybody understands that.
Yep.
They expect that return every year.
Yep.
Well, you know what? If a tornado comes through, it comes through.
Yeah.
You can't control that. You can't control a drought. You can't control
All the
hail.
things that would-
Those things happen.
But
We have been very blessed. Last year, our 23 acres just overpassed everything that he harvested.
Wow. So what do you have on the 23 acres?
Roussan, Marsan, Dolcetto, and Moscato Giallo.
Nice.
And then
Wow.
we planted 24 more acres this year,
Mhm.
and we'll do another 33 or 34 next year to the next. We'll have a
Total
total
of 80.
of 80 up there.
Wow.
Seriously, that's way bigger than I expected. That's
Yeah.
that's impressive, you guys.
Yeah.
And then
You asked a question a while ago about
Yep.
the big picture here.
Mhm.
And so when we went to Grape Camp in 2018, everybody tried to run us off because this is a hard industry.
I don't think they tried to
Yes,
run us
they
off.
did.
They just tried to warn us that there's
Well,
there's
let's be specific.
a romantic side to the business, and then there's a hard side to the business,
Right.
and there is.
And I love the language, okay, but
Yeah.
but run us off. I mean,
They were
warn
being
us.
realistic.
No, seriously.
they gave it to you straight. Is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Oh, heck yeah.
Even go through Grayson,
Yeah.
Andy literally comes in and he goes, I'm here to run you off
Yes.
to not do this.
Well, Ernie said
Yeah.
like the romance of it.
Those words run you
yeah,
off.
run you off. Those are his words.
Well, because if you're not willing to put both feet in, and you're not willing to
You
burn
can't-
the boat, I mean, what are you unrealistic about your expectations
Yeah.
for?
I mean,
It's-
you can't just put your toe in it and say, okay, I'm going to do this. You have to put both
Growing
feet in.
grapes are probably one of the hardest.
It's the hardest part of this industry.
It's the hardest
fruit.
part.
It's a tough fruit.
It's the hardest fruit to grow. And for people to say you can't grow it in Texas is just not true. We were told that we could not grow grapes here in Hunt County. Well, you know what? We've had our soil test done and we can. And we're going to. And
Yeah.
it's going to be amazing. We're going to be growing blenders here and sending them back to Meadow for Sam to do his magic with,
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
as well as if the Binghams need it. So
Yeah.
Marissa and I have collaborated on what we're planting because ultimately she and I want a Super Tuscan, our Bordeaux, and a Super Rioja blend.
Wow.
And so we are planting strategically to be able to provide those for people to enjoy.
You can't see the smile on my face, but I was pretty excited when you said all that.
And Fritz Westover is
Oh,
our
Fritz is-
consultant because
yeah.
he was their
Shout out to
consultant,
Fritz.
and I believe his portfolio was pretty full on clients, and,
Yeah.
and he took us on because of the Binghams.
Oh, is that
right?
Yeah.
He's been here twice.
So
He did soil samples and-
we've heard his name many
Yeah,
times.
KK's talked about him quite a bit.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah, we
KK,
need to-
love her.
Yeah.
Oh, she makes some awesome limoncello.
Shout out.
I know that. I go out there quite often. She's actually been one of my mentors a lot.
Oh, she's
Like,
awesome.
you know,
Ernie's my new mentor.
KK is the
Get ready,
sweetest. She was probably one of the there's a handful of sweet people that
Yes.
really encouraged us along the way to not quit. Because there's times it's like, is this worth it? It's a lot of money, folks.
Absolutely.
There's a lot that goes into this.
And I will say, I'm making Tempranillo at my house, and for the first time, because I'm a hands-on learner. Of course, I'm going to Grayson, and I'm a hands-on learner. KK gave me some Tempranillo that I'm actually working on right now, and I'm actually fixing to put it into a barrel, hopefully this week.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's going to be in a barrel aged in an old fashioned. So the distillery actually made old fashions aged in an oak barrel. And then I'm going to get the wet barrel and I'm going to put my Tempranillo in it, and it's going to sit in there until about April. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
It's going to be
Yummy.
beautiful. I have 25 bottles. I'm auctioning them off for $200 a piece.
And I'm the guy who brings us back to the podcast. And so, real quick, I have a couple notes here, real quick, if you guys don't mind commenting on this. So, I wrote down a boutique nestled in Northeast Texas. This property was owned by kind of a legendary figure at one time. Is that what I read on your website? Old Man Duncan? What is that whole
Oh,
thing?
no.
There?
That
Okay.
is our wine lounge and art gallery that's under construction right now.
Oh, okay. Tell us more about that.
It was designed after a famous barn that was built up in the Oklahoma territory.
Okay.
My family's ranch is at Kansas, Oklahoma, right across the state line, probably 60% Oklahoma, 40% Kansas. Grandpa's sister married Old Man Duncan. Walter T. Duncan was the liaison between the government and the Indians. So if you can imagine a 65 by 150 foot horse barn and a massive 2-story prairie house being built back in, what was it, 1905?
1905.
Wow.
1905.
That's cool.
Walter T was definitely a figure to be recognized. So it is a very famous barn in that area. It sits on this beautiful plateau. There's a canyon that runs through it. Right now, at one time it was a mile by mile undisturbed piece of property.
Wow.
And she let my grandpa buy it when Walter T died instead of the 3 daughters and their husbands.
Wow.
So AKA Hatfields and McCoys was created. So so whenever we have the pad site for the big Winery Bistro building, which will have the Sand Dollar fine dining restaurant in it. We had everything sitting on ships out in the Gulf of Mexico. We couldn't get supplies here. I kept waking up to the vision of my grandpa's barn. And I'm like, I had refused to put a barn here because of all the barn event centers that are in the area. I'm like, you know what? We're going to build a barn after grandpa's. Because you know what? This generation's lost the understanding of what grit and passion, perseverance, they've lost it. And so we're going to create a space.
Too much technology.
Someplace that's boozy,
I don't know what you're talking
artsy, and a place to be inspired, to go after your dreams. So it's going to be a wine lounge and art gallery. So
nice.
You guys have seen a lot of the bottles have some upcycled art pieces on it.
Talk about that for sure.
And that's my daughter. My oldest daughter is the artist, Ashley Ellis. And so all those original pieces are going to hang in this building. Mm-hmm. So it may look like a barn on the outside, but it's not going to look like a barn on the inside.
Right. And that building is called the Duncan for that reason.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was
okay.
reading about that. I was a little confused. So I'm glad. That's an amazing story, by the way. That's really cool. You said a word that is important to me, grit.
Yes.
I'm just going to just totally change gears real quick. But isn't it important for winemakers, wine ownership, everyone in this state to have some grit? Isn't that a great word?
Yes, because just like sometimes you try a new recipe and it needs to go in the trash, sometimes you have that with making wine.
Yeah,
and it's sad. We've actually experienced this. We've had wine go south and had to go down the drain.
Wow.
And that's heartbreaking when you have to do that.
Particularly when you have nothing else to fall back on. But you know what? Wine takes time. Good wine.
Yep.
Let's preface that. Good wine takes time.
Yep.
And anything worth doing takes time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, my next question, Will, is an important one. I haven't asked this in a few podcasts, but what sets you guys apart right now? I mean, to me, I have a great energy here. I'm really proud of you guys and impressed with you. I want to be your friends. But what sets you guys apart from some of the stuff happening over here in Northeast Texas right now?
Purpose.
Okay. And tell me about that, Ernie.
Well, our purpose is faith-based, obviously. And just to what God's given us to share with everybody. Just like, for instance, the Duncan we were just talking about, we have that original barn was torn down and we have the original wood from it over here. And we're going to take the original wood, find the best pieces and put it into one of the walls of the Duncan. And we're going to have that heritage on there.
All right.
And
nice.
so we're going to tie all that together. We have a bottle of, bourbon barrel aged to not, and we call it Snooks. That was her grandfather's nickname. Snooks. Little story on him. He at 12 or 13.
No, 5.
Well, 5. He was whittling some wood, put his eye out, so he had one eye. And at 12 or 13, he jumped on a rail car and rode to Kansas City. Bought his first herd of cattle, and he became a successful cattleman. And the way he would close a deal is a handshake and a shot of whiskey or bourbon out of the back of his trunk.
Lincoln Continental.
So
that's a great idea. I'm gonna start doing my business deals like that.
Well, the name
there was no
I love
paperwork.
that.
It was a handshake with Snooks, and he did $1 million cattle deals in the '60s that way.
Wow.
He lost $1 million, and he made $1 million. And back then, that's a lot of money.
So that bourbon barrel aged tonight is called
Giving
Snooks.
homage to him.
Yeah, Snooks.
Nice.
The grit, the passion, the legacy. That's what we want to inspire people with. And this, when we went down there in 2018 and we asked them, we've got 81 acres. What do you guys need as an industry? They said, we need Fredericksburg and North Texas.
Yep.
I said, okay, well, let's go home and pray about that. And that's ultimately what our vision for this place is.
Nice.
Is a destination boutique winery resort.
Nice. I like
spa,
that.
Wellness, glass chapel for weddings, cottages and cabins
small.
for overnight stay, but a boutique. We're not interested in the masses.
Mass production, right?
We're interested in quality. For people. So that whenever I say purpose, everything we do has a purpose. Most people, I'm not going to say most people, I would say in this world, a lot of people get into business for the bottom line, the dollar.
Absolutely.
And we don't. We do the opposite. We can't outgive God. We've tried.
Right.
And so long story short is when we do everything and that has the true meaning and purpose behind it, everything else takes care of itself.
Spider, it's on your shirt.
Oh.
So sorry, that was on.
Wow,
Sorry.
that's a cool part of our episode.
It's a good thing it didn't land on her because this might be over.
She'd be hanging up on top of that. Well, it landed right there. You see it?
Be free.
Oh, be free.
Well, I didn't want to kill him because spiders are good for the economy.
Right. Well,
Y'all just hear what I just said? The economy.
The economy. I
The environment.
The word risk, and I said, isn't it interesting how business owners, when they have a vertical alignment, they lean on that faith a little bit, and risk and intentionality and grit. Those things all come together, and it's been my experience in life across this country that people who are zeroed in and have a little vertical alignment tend to do extraordinarily well. Can you guys comment on that?
Well, God's principles are true.
True.
Yep.
So
we often refer back to Joshua going, and they got, they're marching to the river, and God told him to continue walking. They got to the river. What do we do? He said, keep walking. And they, the priests went out in the water and put their staffs down, and the water still stayed there. It was receding up 20 miles, and they didn't know that. But they still had to have the faith to keep going forward, even whenever it looked like there was no chance of getting across there. But eventually it dried up.
They didn't have cell phones.
I can't tell you how many times in this process, how many times God has come through with certain things. Last day, bringing us people, this podcast now.
Sure.
I love that you guys are here.
Every person that's here, God has brought.
We pray for every person, the Binghams every day, their vineyards, our vineyards. I mean, all of it, because it's just
Our son, Michael.
not to keep harping on
so cool.
the faith side, but
No,
that's truly
please,
who we are.
Don't ever apologize for that.
Well,
Tell him about Michael.
I'm not.
Michael was being groomed for the family business.
He was being groomed for the family business we were working at, and we would have been totally fine with him saying there. But one thing me and her sat down and said, because a lot of families will pressure their kids into, you need to come into the family business and work this. Well, that's not necessarily what God created them to do. They have their own purpose. And so that's what we try to tell all the kids. Well, he's an old soul for a young man. And he
is your general manager. Is that correct?
He is. He came to us on his own, and we made a pact, because this is truly not ours. It's his. And we said, if any of the kids want to join this and be a part of it, they can, obviously. But they need to come on their own and fall in love with this business and get in line with what God's given us on their own, without any encouragement from us to them.
This is a place of service.
He did that.
And they've got to have that understanding.
And he's all in. Yeah.
That we are here for the community. This is about the community and allowing a place for people. Do they need to just stop and relax? God told me I would drop Matthew off at school and come and park across the street. And it's like, what do you want? And he's like, I want a place for my people to relax. They don't slow down enough. They don't stop and just relax. And then COVID happened. And I'm like, okay, note to self that this is, and we all learned that we all needed, what it's like to really connect with your spouse, what it's like to connect with your parents. Oh my gosh, we've got to worry about our moms and dads now, because what if they get COVID? Well, we need a place to where we can celebrate those 80th birthday parties, those 50th wedding anniversaries.
Yeah.
We just had my mom's 80th here last Saturday.
Very
and you
nice.
know what? It was an amazing time. What if I don't have 81 with her?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what we're building here.
I want to share one thing. It's been a while since I've been to church, and so talking to y'all has been kind of trying to keep from crying here.
Rekindling.
Trying to keep from crying.
Oh
And one of the scriptures that has been always for my friends from when I used to do a motorcycle ministry, our scripture for the club, and I don't have the exact version, but I'm going to read what the scripture says, and it's 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, and plans to give you hope in a future.
Jeremiah
29:11.
29:11. We read it every morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
So
Because that's something God gave me
Yep.
in a really, really dark time of my life. because I need to believe that.
Yep.
And I do believe that. And anytime it gets nitty gritty, and it's going to get nitty gritty.
Yep.
You bet.
You stand on that.
Yep.
That's your promise.
You do all you can do, and you just stand on that, and God will do the rest.
Yep.
He'll never fail you.
Well, and not that this needs to be a sociological experiment or anything like that, but isn't that one of our issues right now in this country is that not enough people are leaning on that? And more importantly, a younger generation, they don't understand the word grit. They don't understand the word determination, perseverance. They don't understand commitment. They don't understand intentionality. And so for me, not that this needs to be a sociological thing, but to me, what you guys are a great example. I'm just going to compliment you real quick of just standing with both feet.
Standing firm.
And just saying, this is what we're going to do. We have great insight. We have a vision above, and we're going to make it happen. And despite the obstacles and despite the hurdles in life, which you're going to have many, many more as wine owners, is that you're going to continue to move forward and charge forward. And your family, generationally, legacy-wise, is also following, which is pretty cool. I've met Michael. He's a really cool dude. But that's pretty cool. And so really a valuable lesson today is, don't pretend like this is some sort of romantic experiment. You're going to have fun toying with this for 2 to 3 years. This is a lifelong commitment. This is a commitment. And the Binghams are a good example of that, right? What they've accomplished.
They are a gift from God for us.
Yes, most definitely.
For Texas.
Yeah.
For this country.
Oh, for sure.
By far, one of, if not the best grape growers in Texas.
And heard that a handful of times.
Yes.
That's really good. And if Marissa's listening to this or her family.
Oh, she does.
We have laughed a lot with Marissa. She's really a lot of fun. She's a cool lady. But isn't that cool that you guys are also kind of like complementing that with your efforts too, which is pretty cool. So
we would not be where we are without them.
Okay, that's
I would say that.
brother.
And I've heard that from a lot of different winemakers and wineries.
So on your hearts, real quick, you've shared some really cool things. In fact, I think this is one of the more
very
passionate.
Deep. This is a very deep episode.
Podcast, right? We have to rate it as passionate. What's on your heart? So what do you want to share with our listeners? Now, keep in mind, and Will can attest to this, I think we're in 29 countries. We've reached thousands of followers now, which is pretty cool for our first year in a podcasting arena. But what do you guys want to share? Maybe Ernie, start with you real quick. Is there something you want to share about what your projects, things are going on, your beautiful family, things that are happening?
Well, right now we have 81 acres out here, so we also have 5 tiny homes in the back. Michelle and I are in an RV. We started off in an RV, and then we lived in this lovely building for a year before the wine started coming in and had to get out. So, but back to grit, determination. Sure. I'll share what I share with all the kids. If they come to sit down with me and they ask for my advice, the first thing I'm going to ask them is, how's your relationship with God? Because He's your creator. And He has a purpose for why He created you. I did not create you. I had some fun in the process of bringing you here on this earth.
Sure.
We could say it that way, but but we're real. We just like we just are. We're real. We have fun. We're not legalistic and all that stuff, but it's about the relationship. And go to God in prayer and ask Him what He has for you. And if this is something He's put on your heart, He will provide the way. He will give you the direction, but He's not going to give it to you all at one time.
Right.
We have had so many changes here of what we put this building up, and now that we put this building up, we were going to do this here, but let's move that back there and let's move this up here. And now we're like, this building's not big enough. So we need to build a building with a dock on it, because now that we've gone through getting the wine off of the skid steer, bringing it up and dropping it off there for the forklift to get it and take it in, we're defeating it. But anyways, just my encouragement to people is to get in concert with what God has for them. And if He's put this on He gives us the dreams and desires of our hearts. He puts them there. So if He put this here for us, He will lead and guide us through finishing and accomplishing what He has for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Michelle, how about you? I mean, what are some of the?
Well, she was just in a moment right there. So
she was listening to her husband.
I didn't want to disturb that moment.
I'm the visionary for this place, and Ernie is the captain that God's given me to help bring that vision into reality. And one of the things that has been a lesson that God has taught me is that it's all in His timing. Mm-hmm. We have our timing that we want. We are a microwave society.
For sure.
God's not a microwave person.
Nope.
He's not a microwave God. And so we have learned really in the last 2 years to be patient. Mm-hmm. Wine in itself is something that you've got to be patient with. Mm-hmm. And God has taught me through the wine that everything comes to those who wait, and you've got to be patient.
Absolutely.
I want the spa and wellness center here yesterday. I want my cottages here yesterday. But you know what? There's a reason it's not here yet.
Right. Well, too many people rely on instant gratification, and it just is such you're grooming yourself for failure when you start having that mindset. So it's like a marathon, winemaking, right? We've learned that across the board.
Oh yeah.
We interviewed a great couple down in Fredericksburg, and they're like, we bottled this wine, and it was just too soon. They have their greatest lesson. You have to be patient.
Yes.
So,
We went
great
through
lesson.
that with our Sangiovese.
Sure.
Now Sangiovese is my favorite wine that we
Uh-huh.
have.
So good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, real quick, I'm going to pick on Michelle. How do people connect with you guys? Do you have a social platform? Do you have a family member doing that, or do you do that as well? And then maybe describe the physical location where you are for our listeners to come visit you.
Miss Shelby Smith is over all of our Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Shelby Miller.
Shelby Miller, that's right. Miss Shelby just got married. So
hey.
thank you.
Name on your website, Shelby Miller.
Shelby Miller. She's also our event coordinator.
Okay.
So we do private events here. Small. We're about boutique. We're about quality, not quantity. And so she is in charge of getting us out there. Of course, just word of mouth. Our precious chamber here in Granville's done a great job getting us out there.
Our socials are websites livehappylane.com.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we're on Facebook, Instagram. I think she's doing some stuff, a little bit of stuff on TikTok possibly. But mainly Instagram and Facebook.
Well, you've capitalized on that. So you're out there. And of course, the people will listen to this podcast and share it with their friends. And so that'll be cool. So anything you do to support that, it's great.
If anybody's got any questions, info@livehappylane.com.
Okay.
Shoot us a message. We're out here in Greenville.
Physical location. We're south on the south side of Greenville by L3 behind the Oaks Golf Course. Country Club.
We're 5 minutes off of I-30 on 1570.
That's how we got here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
I went in the back roads and
you did?
I actually heard dueling banjos. Oh my gosh, what is that?
That's French toast. Put you in a food coma.
I
And if
just
they need to fly
diabetic,
in,
top one
you've
diabetic
got
now.
Marshall's Field right here.
Is it right over here? Okay.
Yeah.
So lots of ways to get here for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, good. Well, we're going to wrap up here, Will, real quick. Our segment one of this great podcast. You have more questions, thoughts, concerns?
When we were talking earlier, yes, Ernie. Yeah. So we were talking earlier, and you was talking about all your kids that you got. You said you got 8 kids, correct? Between the two of y'all.
Correct.
We have 8 amazing children.
8 amazing kids. And you said something, and I don't know if you want to talk about this. So
Sure.
if I mention it, you just give me the look and I'll mute it.
There's nothing I won't. There's nothing I won't talk about.
So you said something about your wine club memberships and your future wine club membership. Let's talk about that for a second.
Our wine club membership right now, because of the economy, we bumped it back from a minimum of 4 bottles to 2 bottles to help everybody out.
Okay.
And it's a minimum of 2 bottles every 3 months.
Okay.
And you get a 10% discount across the board on everything you buy from us if you're in the wine club.
Gotcha.
If you purchase more, there's a bigger discount. If you get 4 bottles every 3 months, 15%, 6 bottles, 20%. And then we're going to create an elite Sand Dollar Club. And that's a case every 3 months, and it's a 25% discount.
Wow.
And then a
Great.
15% discount on everything you buy if you just come up, enjoy some live music, have a glass of wine or two.
Nice. And then what is the future of your wine club? Because you just told me this is the one I'm really interested in. And if you want to talk about that, you tell me you don't want to talk about it right yet, you know?
No, the future of our wine club is I guess I'm not. Look,
Beef
I guess
pie.
Beef and wine?
Oh, okay. I got you. I lost.
Be more clear with
just
your
thinking-
questions.
Yeah, I'm thinking more on. So because of the ranch, we have access to grass-fed beef, and I think over the last 5 years, her parents have only had not taken the top sales spot twice.
Wow.
Their beef is amazing.
Cow-calf operation right now.
Yeah.
But we're looking to
Have a
going
beef,
to feed out
Yeah.
instead of selling our amazing calves, finishing them out, which is going to require some manpower. We're going to have to hire some folks to do that.
Yeah.
But it's something that, as a family, I think we need to do that.
Yeah.
And I think being able to provide a quality product, quality, healthy beef for people to enjoy. I mean, you look at the prices in our grocery stores and it's ridiculous. And so if we can, again, it goes back to community. What can we do as a family to help the community?
Yeah.
And
So on that, we're going to have a wine and meat club as well. So you can get a quarter, half whole, and then maybe eventually the cut you want if we get
Maybe.
as we grow this thing. But
That's pretty cool. That's new.
I mean,
that's new and fresh.
Yeah,
And then-
it is.
yeah, in our wine club, we don't do shipments every 3 months. What we do is whenever you sign up, that's your anniversary individually, and so 3 months later on that date is whenever you get your wine.
Oh, interesting.
And we did it that way so that we don't have to bring in a lot of people and do a bunch of work over a 2-day period every
Right.
3 months. It's
Yep.
more consistently staggered.
Yeah,
And then so every day you come in, you pack out the wine club orders for that day, and they pick them up, you ship them
It
or
allows
whatever.
us to be more personable with
like that.
our
I like that.
wine club
Yeah.
people, and our wine club is just, we want people to set up their own. You pick what wine you want. We believe in every one of our wines,
Mhm.
so there's not a wine we want to get rid of in our wine club. You tell me what you want in your wine club.
I
And
like
so
that.
if you're in wine club, even at the 2-bottle minimum, you get 10% off across the board. And if you want that, it's been a good month. I want 4 bottles. Then you get that 15% off your shipment, or you get that
Nice.
20% off your shipment.
Yeah,
but
but
you're in wine club, you get that 10%
We've
on everything.
We've been in several wine clubs where, and we'll get it. We're the kind of people we're going to get 6 or 12, and they show up, and there's always 3 or 4 bottles of
Christmas presents.
I wouldn't really pick that or alcohol delivery system, whichever one. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have actually picked that, but I'm the one who's paying for it. So the way that we believe, if you're paying for it, you're going to get what you
Do what
want.
you
Right.
want.
Get what you want.
So that's how we look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great summation right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're here at Live Happy Lane Winery. Great couple.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun. We're going to do some education here in a minute.
Yeah.
Will, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think so. It's undecided. Everyone who has a look on their face like 4 deer in headlights. So
And
there we go.
you're welcome to have Miguel come over here and talk to him. He's
Miguel
a great guy,
would be
and
great,
he's a semi-psalm.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
He's our cowboy song.
Yeah.
Catway psalm. So he's actually a certified psalm?
No.
Oh,
No.
oh, he's just
He's just
He's a
really
full
good.
psalm.
He's just funny.
he's just a faux psalm.
He knows his wine.
Oh, he does.
He does.
He does.
He would surprise you. Me and him slept through a lot of class, and we got a lot of elbows from her.
Oh,
But we made it. We made it
We
through.
sat in the back row and we passed a lot of wine under the table.
oh, I love that.
Oh,
I
He's a
thought I was the
feisty
only
couple.
one that did that.
Oh, feisty couple.
Yeah.
Yes. The next podcast is just about their behind the scenes stuff that's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's wrap this one up. Then we'll come back here in a minute.
Yep.
Hey, this is Jeff Coe from TexasWineLover.com. We're here with Will, Michael, and Jen from We Know Texas Vino.
And this is Amy Nemec with the Texas Wine Lover mobile app. We're wrapping up the interview and moving into the wine education portion of the episode, so stick with us.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We Know Texas Vino. We've had a great time out here in Greenville, Texas. We're just a great location. We're having so much fun. Will, wouldn't you agree with that?
I think sometimes it has to be a sin to have this kind of fun, because, every winery we go to, we always have a blast. And a lot of the wineries, we do laugh to the point where we actually cry. And I think today was one of those wineries where we were just sitting there crying because we're laughing so hard.
Well, I think laughter, but also good conversation,
Oh,
just good
yeah.
people. I mean, pretty cool. And then we brought in a troublemaker here for this final part, so we'll introduce this troublemaker here in a minute. But that'll be fun.
Yes.
I humor.
Yes.
I think humor is important. So, real quick, as we get into what we normally call our educational portion,
Yes.
of this, but it's more of just like let's ponder, let's have some back and forth. Some
Well,
banter,
I
that
mean,
sort of thing.
this winery here, getting to sit there after off air, we talked to Michelle and stuff, and got to really know them a lot more. We
Well,
felt
Ernie left. Ernie bolted
yeah,
like he had his
he
pants
ran
on fire.
like you should saw the dirt coming up when he ran off.
Miguel needed backup.
So you and I decided that instead of having an education, we want to talk more about this winery here
Sure.
because this winery is such a great inspiration. And actually, what did Michelle say? A lot of good therapy here.
A lot of good therapy, free therapy.
Free
she
therapy
said.
at that.
So a lot of good,
And-
that's kind of typical of a winery anyways,
Yeah.
but it just seems like this place probably is a little bit more relaxing. We have an outdoor arena here, which is a lot of fun. And just, great people. And we've met, my wife's sitting over here. I think she met your girlfriend, Miguel. And I think she met some great people over there.
You have a
who
girlfriend
are-
that you don't know?
My girlfriend Christina.
Do you have a girlfriend?
That look on his face like, I had a girlfriend?
Yeah,
Really?
it's like, well, I'm just repeating what my wife said, so that was good. So well, let's get into it real quick. Let's just real quick talk about one of our sponsors. Real
Yes.
quick. I think it's important. So, Texas Wine app. I mean,
Texas Wine Lover.
Lover app. And
Okay.
it's fantastic. So talk real quick about that.
Have you actually heard of them?
I think I've heard of it, but I've never checked into it.
Okay, so it's probably one of the most amazing apps, or actually, amazing tools for finding wine in Texas.
Right.
Okay. And it goes so well with what we do as a podcast. So, with all the wineries in Texas, and you want to go, let's say, down to around East Texas, and you want to find a new winery, you can use the app or the webpage to actually find you a new winery over there. Because there's so many wineries in Texas, it's hard to keep up with some of them. Like you hear the big names like Grape Creep and William Crisp and Slate Theory and Kiefer Saul and all that, but you want to hear about the mom and pop ones as well. Now, there's nothing wrong with the large ones. I'll say that there's nothing wrong with the large ones, but I mean, you want to find the mom and pop ones. Like Enoch Stop
the
out
rural,
there,
the unique, the quaint. Those wineries.
Yeah, you want to find those. Well, doing this app will allow you to find those. You won't believe how many people just yesterday. I had downloaded the app. I talked to about 300 people yesterday during the Pineywood Festival, and probably about 80% of the people downloaded the app right there in front of me.
Well, it's cool because you can locate a great winery like yours here, which is pretty cool. And people, just random people can say, I'm in Greenville. Let's go find that one. But places to eat, places to stay.
Yep.
Are dogs allowed? Do they serve different types of wines? Do they have an outdoor facility? So there's lots of great things. So we love that partnership with those folks. They're amazing. And actually, the couple that runs it, the two that we're familiar with, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And they are
Amy
all
and Jeff
about
are amazing.
advocating.
Yes.
So
Did they have porta johns? I mean, not
do,
everybody has.
do they have porta?
You know what? I will ask them to put a filter on there for porta johns just for you, so they can find your winery until you get rid of the porta john.
Well, Jeff, remember, he takes notes all the time. And he listens, he's probably writing it over now. Do they have porta johns? That's pretty funny. Well, let's get into this real quick. So, Will, you were talking about a story that we didn't get to. And it's really pretty inspiring. But maybe real quick, you can talk to Ernie about that, and let's just real quick talk about why that's important.
Yeah. So, Ernie, tell us about the sand dollar.
So the sand dollar came about it was a tough season of life, and I decided that it was going to be Christmas time, and blended families, we don't always have our kids,
right?
And so I wanted to get my wife away, and so I took her to Marco Island, just
Florida.
west side of Florida, there south of Tampa, about as low, or I guess as Miami is, but just on the inside of the peninsula. And so on Christmas Day morning, we had a couples massage scheduled for us for a gift, and we went in there, and of course they're always asking you, well, where are you from? What do you do? And then one thing leads to another, and Michelle shared the story of what we're doing and building a winery and stuff like that, and in our faith, and all the things that we talked about earlier. And they said that they just really enjoyed having us there, and they wanted to give us a gift, and they gave us a sand dollar. And Michelle had been wrecking her brain. We'd all been talking about what's our logo, and we just after a while, and we're talking about our faith. Sometimes you just got to stop, be still, stop trying to figure it out. And so we get back, and we're living in this building, and we're still trying to figure it out. And after a while, we just stopped. And then she got up one morning and sitting there and looked at the sand dollar and said, I wonder what the meaning behind the sand dollar is. Because that was just a really cool gift. And it was a big one. And so she looked that up, and whenever she saw what the meaning of the sand dollar was, then that was a no-brainer.
Yep, that's pretty cool.
That's
That's your emblem. That's your logo. That's kind of the thing that really represents, spiritually, but also kind of where you guys are going. So that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Story.
Yeah, the holes in the pattern of the sand dollar is the nails.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So if you show up like we're here now, I just took a peek at it. It's really cool, and I think having that unique identity too, and just kind of having that cool logo that people identify with.
And I'm not saying it's all
right.
100% truth. It could be folklore, whatever you call it. But what it is it's a way for people to say why the sand dollar, and it's a way that we can share our faith without being in somebody's face.
Right.
But that's really why we did that.
Even growing up, I knew that the lore behind the sand dollar, because if you break it open, there's 5 doves inside of it.
Yep.
And so I knew that as a kid growing up.
Yep.
And I'm only 20 years old.
And this is a peaceful place.
You're a pup.
I'm really 46, okay?
Well, let's shift gears real quick. Let's talk to the oldest person here at the table. And did you have another point there?
I did. I wanted to. Ernie? I also wanted to bring in and give some credit to some other people we worked with in the past, and that is Wes and Michael from Sage's Vintage.
Okay.
They did an amazing job with 4 of our wines when we first started out. One of them actually won a double gold for us.
Nice. And where are they located at?
They're in Nacogdoches.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, Sage's Vintage, they're a crush company.
Okay.
Michael McClendon and Wes Jensen.
Awesome.
Super guys. And then, of course, we did some stuff with Texas Custom Wine Works and then Texas Wine Company. But at that time, by the time we were doing stuff with them, we had also started our relationship with the Binghams and everything like that. So Sam was going by and checking on our wine and helping out, and so he really did. Sam did a lot with the wine.
Nice, awesome.
But I wanted to make sure that we also included them in our startup process because they did a lot with us too.
I love it because those are people we want to meet in the future. So we might reach back out to Ernie to get contact information and that sort of thing.
Now, are y'all be at Grape Camp?
Unfortunately not, because my starting the new job I'm at, I was too early for me to take that many days off to go do that. Now
you can always get another job.
Well, this is a job I've been wanting for years.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually work at a Cook's Hospital now.
Okay.
And so that's where I've been wanting to work for quite some time now. And now that I'm there, I don't want to risk anything,
Right.
So,
no.
But
and he's making $6 an hour. I'm really proud of you.
Yes.
You're working up that ladder.
It's impressive. All right.
But we are going to be at Twigga though, so we're definitely going to be at Twigga.
Yeah. All right, let's do that shifting gear that I talked about earlier. You guys ready to shift gears?
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to introduce you to this next guy here.
And then it's comedy hour.
So the oldest guy at the table here is a young man here. Actually, when I walked in here today, Will, you were setting up, and I was drinking wine naturally. That's
before I was. That's weird.
Description. And I met Michael. Michael, welcome to our podcast. This is We Know Texas.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and so Michael, we understand through some family members and through some really wicked
rumors,
grassroots. I mean, we're talking about stories.
Yeah.
Lore, Lore. This is lore. You have some funny stories you want to share with us, maybe?
Well, before he tells the stories, he knows a lot about wine first.
Yes, he does.
So let's talk about the wine, and then we'll talk to the funny stories.
All right, now they all say I know a lot about wine. I know some about wine.
Okay.
He throws me in every single time. He'll be behind the bar and he'll get cold turkey and be like, Michael's a song.
Oh, but
bring him in. And I'm like, Ernie.
Hey, no, he said you was a redneck psom.
Cowboy
psom. So
redneck song.
So let's talk about wine, and we'll get to the funny stories right afterwards. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about the funny stories. I know that's
yeah. That is fine with me. Why would that not be fine with me? Yes. So, Michael, I can't wait to call you Miguel. Sorry, I had a little prelude there. Tell us about your knowledge of wine. And I understand, actually, Ernie spoke so highly of you. You have become the general manager, I believe, of this amazing winery. Talk to us about that, and then your knowledge of wines.
So quickly, my story is that I was actually a production engineer for an air filtration manufacturer, and I was basically running the crew, doing engineering on the side, and then also, managing other parts of the business, coming up with our process involving inventory. And then one day I went to my uncle and was like, hey, I don't know why, I'm going to go join this winery startup that makes no sense in life, and I'm going to go do that. And so I joined them on this hooligan trail, and we
he said hooligan trail.
I mean, he'll side with that.
Yeah.
I mean, our story, the way we got out here, and
a little closer. There you go.
Our story, the way we got out here and started doing things, I mean, we came out here in trailers. That was not what was the plan, and then we just kind of went from there, and things just kept growing, doing dirt work. I mean, there was 2 years I was out here doing lumber work. I didn't see people for a while, and when they saw me, my hair was long and my beard was a lot fuller. I looked like I came out of the woods.
Or homeless, one of the two.
One of the two. Yeah. I'll go with lumberjack over homeless, but whatever floats someone's boat. Yeah.
You look homeless. That's never good. So the price you have to pay, though, right? So you paid the price. You went through those excruciating growing pains, and because you were committed to that. And so now what's happened? This renaissance, right? Can I use that word, renaissance? Look at this place.
I'll agree.
So what's happened? What's going on?
So now we're up here at the winery, and things just kind of grew and just happened. We were actually planning on getting that other part of it open, and we're like, people are in such demand for us to just open. So we just decided one day, like, hey, let's just open up at the cellar. Why not? It's where we store the wine, but
that's cool.
Let's just get open. So we did that, and now we're full throttle in it while we get the other building going, and now we give tours of that building, and people are interested and just waiting for that to come to life, and so it's really beautiful.
And I know we're going to take a tour here in a little while.
Yeah.
We're kind of excited about that. It's pretty cool. So you're kind of the big dog around here, sounds like. I know you got your folks who are mentoring you and doing that sort of thing as well, but what are some of the obstacles you run into as kind of the man who makes some decisions around here?
Family.
Yeah. Family.
I think me and him both can agree on that one.
Okay.
Sometimes
aren't they just a pain?
Yeah, it happens.
Well, always in the family, there's always two people who are hard-headed, and they always butt heads together, and each one thinks they're right, when both of them are actually right, but they're just saying the different words.
So they're married. You have a mom and pop situation, and so it helps to have me be able to come in and go, listen, you're both saying the same thing. We both want to get on the same page.
Yep.
And so I'll word it in a way that makes sense for all of us.
Nice.
So he's Cowboy Phil.
Well, no, he has a good disposition. He's calm.
Yeah,
He's
but
calm.
but he's Dr. Phil, but the cowboy version of Dr. Phil.
Cowboy Phil.
He's very wise for his age.
Yeah.
He
Well,
is.
you were saying earlier that you're kind of have an old soul to you.
Yeah.
And
I do.
I think I have a son also. He's 26, and I think he kind of has that old soul. He's just more attentive, more mature, more aggressive when it comes to kind of looking at the world from a real noble point of view, like a wise point of view, which is kind of cool. So good for you. So are you enjoying yourself here, brother?
Oh, I love everything I do.
Well,
You know,
well, you do. Everything.
Yeah, sometimes it's exhausting, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I love what I do. Whether it's not doing the dirt work on the property or or serving the wine and talking to the people. So
no regrets leaving your old profession.
Oh
coming
no,
here.
no.
Good for you. I see
Don't
you're
work a day
pretty
in my
happy.
life when you love what you do.
That's
So
beautiful.
Well, you know, the one thing I'll have to say, and I'm going to take a quote from what's his face from Piaf. I just drew a blank from Piaf.
Not Pierre.
Pierre, not Pierre. Is it Pierre from
No,
Piaf?
it's not Pierre. It's Yasmin and.
Can't remember.
Never heard of him.
But you need to because they actually serve Texas wine there.
Okay.
Oh, I've got
Yes. But he actually called this wine. He didn't call it wine. He called Happy Grape.
what?
Yeah, he calls it a happy grape.
Happy great.
I mean, it is. I mean, what does it do? It makes friendships and makes people happy. How many friendships have you made over this glass of wine today? At least 2 I know of.
How many can I remember?
One.
So that.
Well,
I can help you with that part.
that's the key. Yes. Okay. Well, so we're here to have a little fun. Michael, is that okay?
Yeah.
So tell us
You
some
guys ready?
stories.
Right? No. You have to, you have to
we've
change
got-
gears.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm switching gears now.
Ready? In my deepest FM broadcasting voice, Miguel. You just changed. Hi, Miguel. How are you?
It's going good.
Welcome to our podcast. This is
Welcome
We Know Texas Vino.
to After Dark.
After dark.
So you
With
have,
Miguel.
you have
After
some fun
hours.
stories. So Ernie tells us he has to drag you off of the wine tasting bar or area because the women just drive you crazy, but probably some other people as well. What are some of your funny stories that you've had here at this awesome winery?
Well, I'll give you an instance. There's a
Go
guy
for
that
it.
comes up to the winery right now today. Actually, he's actually on this podcast.
He's
He
under
can't say the
table.
word
He's
stud.
under the table right now.
He's worried if he says the word stud to me, he kind of gets a little antsy. Like, I don't want to say stud to another dude. I'm like, it's okay. Yeah, that guy's name is Will.
Does he get?
It's okay. I'll switch gears real quick.
No. I'm going to continue with it. That is the funny. You wanted humor.
I didn't know you were gonna get burned, but
I didn't realize I was going to get
Dude.
on my own podcast. I was going to get burned on my own podcast.
I didn't know we were going there. That's
I didn't either.
classic.
You can't edit that. You can't.
that's part
So
of it. Now.
Will, be comfortable with your masculinity. Don't
Oh,
get shy.
I'm
It's
very
okay.
comfortable when you walk up to a guy that's
I
like
want
half
some
your age.
snud.
Walk up to half your age and you walk up and you say, I want some stud.
Well, what if the name of the wine was Hooker?
That'd have been completely fine.
Okay.
That'd have been completely fine because he wasn't, I mean, asking a guy.
What if it's a girl behind the counter? You're like, I want some hooker.
I'd been uncomfortable with saying that.
He could identify as a hooker nowadays.
What kind of stud are you?
Okay, this show is over with. We're calling.
No, thank you.
Off the
That's
rails.
a really good story, and that just shows what kind of humor you have. And Will is blushing.
It's okay, Will. I got another masculine story.
Okay,
So,
good.
I have other men that come up. We have a dessert wine that's
You
poured in
throw me
a.
under the bus right
No,
now. I'm
you're
coming
good.
after you.
It has a little tiny port glass. Well, some men don't want to walk around with this little itty bitty glass.
Sure.
And so I tell them, which is also true, if you pour it in a big red glass, you actually get all the notes. And so you actually get to enjoy the wine, swirl it, and get all the. Well, in a port glass, you can't. And so I tell them, listen, if you're not masculine enough to be able to have this little glass, I can pour it in a red glass for you. And they'll go, and then their friends will go, yeah, but he's going to want it in a big glass. Yeah, and so they throw them under a bus.
They do.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
exactly what they do.
It's
Yeah,
great.
Take
It's
your
good.
friend out at the heels. Well, I know that I think someone was telling me, it might have been your mom, I don't remember, you had a bunch of, do you have like groups of women that come in here, like nurses, and they do big
Yes.
parties, and how do you interact with those ladies?
So they get all antsy, but
Sure.
I don't change me. I'm just a gentleman.
You're a good
I'm
guy.
just nice.
Yeah.
And so they take that and then they just get flustered.
They
And
get
they're-
flustered.
Oh yeah.
You don't get flustered.
I don't get flustered.
No,
I'm me.
no.
100%.
I think there's some not truth in that somewhere.
Well, it's just so funny.
He's actually been asked to serve wine without a shirt on.
I've been asked to serve wine
That
without
was my
shirt.
last question I had.
Okay,
on here.
this okay. I know I said this is We Know Texas Vino after dark, but this is really not after dark. It's like 2:00 in the afternoon.
This is real PG-13 stuff going on here now. So people have literally just said the next time you bring up a glass of wine, can you do it without a shirt on?
Yeah.
Okay. And,
For
how
hu-
do you, and your response?
I just laugh and
I would have said for a $100 tip, I would have done it.
I would say if you take off your shirt.
You know what? I will do my inner.
It depends on the person.
I will do my inner. I will pull out my inner Chris Farley if you did that.
Oh my gosh! Depending on the person. I got that. That's funny. Awesome. Well, anything? I know your folks are proud of you. I know your customers here are really grateful for you. And I even just meeting you initially, I thought you were extremely helpful and knowledgeable. So, anything you want to share from your heart about what's happening here in Greenville?
I think Greenville's growing. It's going good. I'm really actually happy that we have this pocket that people feel like they can escape from the city, but yet they're still right there, and they're not technically in the city, but it kind of feels like you got away. Absolutely. And I think that's something that we're able to offer, especially when we get building to the back and kind of get that landscaping and going different, because it's actually a roundabout of trees in this 81 acres that kind of makes you feel like you really got away.
Yeah.
And we're keeping that border so that people have that escape.
I love it. Well, when I walked in here, this kind of reminded me of the California times. I've spent a lot of time here, so I don't know if it's kind of got that atmosphere. But like you said, there's stuff in the back. There's a whole bunch of different adventures you can do here, so it's really cool. But I know you're proud of what you're doing here, and I appreciate your time very much. And thanks for hanging out with us for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Something I will have to say is that is probably one of the how can I say it? One of the things that is missing in this society nowadays, because you get the wineries in the big cities and all that. You go in, you do your tasting, and you just spill the flowers.
That's all right. It happens.
But one of the things that you have out here is you still got that country feeling, even though you're close to a city. And that's one thing I love about having a winery out in the country is that you get that country feel. Because, unfortunately, going into a big city, even like Fredericksburg, even Dallas-Fort Worth, you lose that country feel, and you lose that feeling. I love that country feeling. I grew up in West Texas, and I love that feeling.
Well, there's some, person to person.
I keep saying
feeling.
feeling.
Great. You're amazing communicators, and I bet you have a lot of fun. Well, good. Well, should we wrap this one up there, Mr. Will? Sound good?
Yeah.
You have a takeaway today, sir?
My takeaway is don't go up to Michael and ask for a glass of suds.
Miguel.
Because he will throw you under the bus.
Yes,
yeah, now you know. I'm very honest all the time.
Yeah.
I heard the honking of the bus go over me.
Yeah. Well, my takeaway is even more simple than that, and that is just when you put both feet in, baby, and you're committed, you can do some great things. This couple here, and of course their staff, their family, they're doing great things here. But you got to be zeroed in, baby.
Well,
there's no like tomorrow there might be another opportunity or a plan B. They always say you got to put your feet in, you got to go after it. And this couple, obviously, not only did they do that, but they persevered through some tough times, and then also now here they are, in my opinion, thriving. So that's pretty cool.
So I will have to say that I really appreciate what y'all came today with the podcast and what y'all talked about because I'm going to say it like this, and I know we're going to probably get hit for this, but I don't care, because this is all about Texas wine, but it's also about the owners and the winemakers, the faith that y'all have, that y'all continue to persevere, even when y'all felt like that the chips were down, y'all still continue to persevere through the rest of it because you knew that God had his plans for y'all. And I like that, and I love that. If that's all we talked about on this podcast, we didn't even talk about wine, I would have been okay with that. I've been 100% okay with that.
So you get 2 takeaways? Is this the new format we have?
Well, the first takeaway didn't really count. It was a mulligan takeaway.
Well, let's talk about let's talk about our other sponsors real quick. So we have Texas Wine Club. We love those folks down in Fredericksburg. That's an amazing concept where they blind taste Texas wines, and they send out a shipment to their wine club members. It is awesome. I call it the Amazon.com of Texas wines, and it is wonderful.
If y'all have not heard of that, y'all need to check out Texas Wine Club and try to get y'all some wine into that.
Yep. Okay.
Because they are an amazing group of people, because it's for people who don't want to travel too far to get wine. There's some great wines all over across the Texas. We've gone down to Fredericksburg and drank some really, really good wines from little-known wineries. And you would have never known that if you didn't have a Texas Wine Club. Yeah. Like, for example, Hilmy. Yeah, Michael Barton, his sparkling over there, his Cab Franc. Mercy, that's some good stuff.
Well, you'll find out if you join Texas Wine Club. And then our last one will flywithwine.com.
All right, so how often do y'all go overseas? Or even to Washington or California want to bring wine back?
Not very often.
In a startup business, we don't really get come on. All right. We're busy every day.
So let's say y'all went to Washington, you found some wine you want to drink and bring back. Unfortunately, it's not Texas, but it's still Washington, and you want to ship it back. If you want to ship it through, send it through like FedEx or like that, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it might take you 6 months to get it. Okay, but Fly with Wine has actually solved that problem where you take your suitcase, put it inside the suitcase. It's already padded for the bottles. check it into your flight, and when you land, you can get your wine right there and enjoy it that night.
Open a bottle right at the luggage rack there.
Yeah.
Right? It'll be cool.
Open it right up and put a straw in it.
We love it. So those are our great sponsors. We're proud of them. I know we have another anonymous sponsor as well that has really done some great things. If that person is listening right now, we're very grateful for that as well. So we're excited to build that relationship and have some fun. So we're at Live Happy Lane Winery, which is so much fun. And I know that we're going to wrap it up here in a minute real quick. But quotes, Will? Do you want some quotes? These boys look like Ernie loves quotes.
So this man right here started a tradition with our podcast that we have to have a quote now at the end of every one. Oh, we got 2 quotes. So here we go.
All right. First one. Breaking news. Scientists find that drinking wine in moderation is better than being unhappy. That's breaking news.
Okay, repeat that again.
Scientists find that drinking wine in moderation is way better than being unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
That's our first quote. Number 2. We need to have a bring your wine to work day.
We already have that.
I was thinking
that's a meeting.
Yes. Yeah. So we're excited. Thank you guys. And thank you. Your beautiful wife as well. Sure. We're super excited to have met her, and we're just excited to have this podcast, and we'll publish it probably next week. And Will, thanks for all you do as well, bro.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michael, for being here.
Well, this is We Know Texas Vino.
Cheers.
Appreciate you guys coming out.